Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Dear devotees, Zanat Pranams, thank you very much for joining in. Welcome all of you for the Ramayana study session. Let's start with the prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. ग्रंथराज श्री रामायण की जय. मुखम करोति वाचालम भंगुम लंघयति गिरिम यत्कृपातमहं वंदे श्रीगुरून् दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्यमीश्वरं. हरिः ओम तत्सत्. गुरवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तरालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you for joining in. So we are in a very interesting section of the Ramayana where Rama, Sita and Lakshmana are in the forest. And how do they make the Ayodhya Vasis return back to Ayodhya? They all come and enter the forest along with Ram, Sita and Lakshmana. The entire Ayodhya, the residents of Ayodhya are there following Lord Ram's chariot that is driven by Sumantra. And they all rest for the night, where Rama, Sita, Lakshmana, all of them are asleep. At that time, during almost midnight, Lord Ram awakens and he wakes up Lakshmana and also tells them, and Lakshmana and Sita, and tells them that the Ayodhya Vasis will not go back, even if we tell them many times, because they want to come along with us. So, but it is not good that they come with us, because they are not supposed to come to the jungle. They are not supposed to come to the forest and undergo these various austerities. So let us quickly wake up, and before sun rises, let us go forward in our journey to the forest, so that the Ayodhya Vasis will have no other way but to go back home, because they would not know where Lord Ram has gone, isn't it? So in that way, they leave the Ayodhya Vasis sleeping. They they wake up Sumantra and tell him that it is the right time for me to go deeper into the forest, and Sumantra also wants to come along, but Lord Ram says that your service is more towards Dashrath Maharaj, and whoever is is going to become the king of Ayodhya, which is Bharat Maharaj, right? So in that way, please go and do your service. And in that way, Sumantra also leaves, taking into account the instruction of Lord Ram to perform his service. And then they walk barefoot, and then they reach Guha's place, Nishad, wherein Guha actually enables or helps the Lord, Sita Devi and Lakshmana to cross over the bridge. And then they reach the innermost or the inner sanctum of the forest, where they spend the night. In that particular night, where we read, it ended where Lakshmana is taking guard of Sita and Ram, and they are lying down on the below the branches of the high trees. And very beautifully, Krishna Dharmadas Prabhu has explained how the moon has risen, and the moon-like faces of Rama and Sita are also illuminating under the moon, as Lakshmana is is guarding them as they go off to sleep, like that. Okay, so let's move ahead. What happens in the forest on the next day, when Rama and Sita wake up, and Lakshmana, of course, is doing his duty of guarding them. So what happens next morning? That's why we're going to continue. Let me share my screen. Okay, yeah. Okay, Deval Mataji, please go ahead. The following morning, what happens? Yes.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam. The following morning after sunrise, they went in an easterly direction towards the confluence of the Ganges and the Yamuna. They were keen to find the hermitages of the rishis whom they knew lived in that region. The famous sage Bharadwaja, the leader of all the Brahmins inhabiting that forest, dwelt nearby. As they walked, they were enraptured by the colorful beauty of the forest. Huge trees rose up on all sides. In some places, the trees opened up into expansive clearings carpeted by innumerable varieties of flowers and shrubs. Lakes of crystal clear water covered with white, blue, and reddish lotuses were seen here and there. The trees were laden with blossoms, filling the air with their fragrance. The sounds of cuckoos, parrots, and peacock echoed all around. Keeping close together, the three travelers walked throughout the day, sometimes moving easily and at other times with difficulty through densely wooded regions. Towards the end of the afternoon, they heard in the distance the sound of the two rivers rushing into to meet each other. Around them, they began seeing signs of life, chopped wood, and man made paths. Catching sight of smoke rising above the trees, they realized they had found the dwellings of the rishis and they quickly went towards them. At the precincts of the hermitage, they were greeted by a young ascetic who was a disciple of Bharadwaj. He led them through the many thatched cottages of the Brahmin community, showing them to a great sacrificial arena where Bharadwaja was seated. Surrounded by his disciples, the sage sat before the sacred fire, absorbed in meditation. As soon as the three travelers caught sight of the effulgent rishi, they prostrated themselves on the earth in obeisances. They waited respectfully at a distance for the sage to beckon to them. Bharadwaja had attained virtual omniscience by his long practice of asceticism and meditation. He immediately sensed the presence of his exalted guests and he rose up to greet them. Going before the sage, Ram said with joined palms, "We are Rama and Lakshmana, the sons of Emperor Dashratha. O highly venerable sage, here is my blessed and irreproachable wife, a princess of Videha and the daughter of King Janaka. Ordered by my ever pious father, I have come to this forest to live the life of an ascetic for 14 years, and my brother and wife have chosen to follow me. Please bless us." Bharadwaja gazed upon the faces of his guests, understanding their divine identities. He offered them various delicious foods prepared from wild roots and fruits. Tears flowed from his eyes as he spoke to Rama. "I already knew of your exile and have been expecting you to pass this way. Your auspicious arrival here at my hermitage signals the success of all my austerities and sacrifices. It is highly difficult to have a sight of you, and today I am supremely blessed. My dear Ram, if you so desire, you may remain here in the delightful stretch of land which is quite suitable for the life of asceticism." Smiling and graciously accepting the sage's offerings of love, Rama replied, "This hermitage is well known and not so far from the state of Ayodhya. The people will soon seek me out if I remain here. Please tell me of some other more lonely place, for I will not be able to tolerate the plan of the people again beseeching me to return." Bharadwaja understood Ram's concern. He directed the prince to a mountain named Chitrakuta, lying some 50 miles away. After spending the night at the sage's hermitage, the three travelers set out the next mornings towards the mountain. It lay across the Yamuna, which they crossed by means of a raft constructed from timber and bamboo. As they walked towards Chitrakuta, they saw countless varieties of trees and plants spreading everywhere in tabulous of rich colors. The constant singing of thousands of birds resounded on all sides, mingling with the sounds of trickling rivulets and cascading waterfalls. From time to time, the trumpeting of an elephant could be heard in the distance. Branches of great trees were bent low under the burden of sweet fruits. From many of them hung large honeycombs, heavy with the thick honey produced by the black bees droning around the fragrant forest flowers. Sita was captivated by the beauty of the forest, touching and smelling the many blossoms that hung all around. Completely forgetting his grief and anxiety, Rama laughingly held her hand and told her all the names of the trees and plants. The three travelers were elated simply to see such a celestial region. In great happiness, they moved towards Chitrakuta. The part of the forest leading to Chitrakuta had been rendered quite passable due to the regular traffic of ascetics, and the travelers made good progress. Towards the end of their third day of their departure from Bharadwaja's hermitage, they approached the foot of the mountain. They saw there a huge banyan tree which spread its branches of dark green leaves away in all directions. Going down to the presiding deity of the tree, Sita offered her respects. She prayed that they would successfully complete their exile and return that way again on their way back to Ayodhya. Lakshman prepared beds of leaves near the foot of the tree. After saying their evening prayers and preparing a meal, the travelers rested for the night. At sunrise the following day, Rama and his party moved on again with the great Chitrakuta mountain rising ahead of them. Bluish in color, it was covered with copses of green, yellow, and red trees. Numerous waterfalls sparkled in the morning sun. The mountain was sheer in places, smoothly sloping elsewhere. Its snow covered peaks disappeared into the clouds. The travelers stopped and stared for, stared for some time at its majestic beauty. They began to ascend the mountain, and some way up its side arrived at the hermitage of the sage Valmiki, situated on a broad plateau. The sage was joyful to see Ram and his companions. He greeted them with hospitality and respect, and they conversed for some time. Valmiki told them his own history. Although he was now a powerful ascetic blazing with bodily luster, he had previously been a robber who had maintained his large family by plundering travelers. The rishi told the whole story. Once long ago, he encountered the sage Narada in the forest and sought to steal from him. The sage told Valmiki he would happily give him anything he wanted, but he told him to first go to his family and ask them the following question: Are you prepared to accept a share of the sins which will ensue from my crimes? Valmiki assented to this request and went to his family. However, they declined to accept his sins, saying that they only wished to receive from him the fruits of his action in form of money and goods. Leaving them in disgust, Valmiki returned to the sage, who then told him to renounce his life of crime and become an ascetic. In order to bring about in Valmiki a full sense of the temporar temporality of life, Narada told him to meditate on the word Mara, meaning death. Valmiki thus constantly repeated the word Mara without realizing that he was in effect also repeating the holy name of Rama. By his meditation, he became a powerful rishi. Rama
Hare
decided to
Krishna.
stay to close. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Namaste Pranam.
Yeah, Danat Pranam. So this is very interesting, right? Valmiki wrote Ramayana, isn't it? So this book also has been written by Krishna Dharma Prabhu, and most of us follow the Valmiki Ramayana, as it is considered the most authentic the description of the pastimes of Lord Ram. Right? It's so wonderful that Valmiki himself, how he got delivered by chanting the holy names of Lord Ram. Right? And it is also of it is significance that he could not even utter the name Rama, because of his his occupation that was involving killing animals. And of course, when anybody comes in front of Narad Muni or has Narad Muni's audience, one cannot but become a devotee, unless one does not listen to the instructions of Narad Muni, or one has so many material desires clouding that one is not able to follow the instructions of Narad Muni, like that. Or one is accepting the instructions, like Kamsa also accepted the instruction of Narad Muni. But why? Because he wanted to kill Krishna, right? Because his intentions were not good. Whereas we see here that Valmiki, previously, he was actually hunting animals, and when Army told him to go and check with his family if they will take part with all the sinful reactions of such an occupation, they said no. We are only taking, you're doing your duty of providing us food. How you provide your food to us? We are going to take the bad karmas of that, right? So you have to manage with that. So he was extremely disgusted, and after that he became such a pure devotee of the Lord that the Lord chose Valmiki to write this epic of Ramayana, right? And also he could not even his what do you call papa or sinful actions were so much he could not even chant the holy names of the Lord. He could not even chant the name of Ram, right? So Narada Muni gave him Mara 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 Mara, like that. He started with Mara, and with his chanting he became so much purified that the Lord chose him to narrate the entire Ramayana. So, but they saw Bharadwaj Rishi, and Bharadwaj Rishi asked him to stay there only in my own hermitage. Let me serve you. But they didn't want to stay there because it was very close to Ayodhya, and now they've gone to Chitrakoot. Chitrakoot, very beautiful place, right? And the beautiful scenic description is also given by Prabhu very beautifully, right? So in that way, Valmiki Rishi is the sage they meet, the second sage that they meet right from the time they come out of Ayodhya, right? And of course, we all know the glories of Narad Muni. So we were discussing the other day also, if you are in a dilemma, we don't know what to do, what not to do, right? We are confused. We can always think of Narad Muni, because Narad Muni is eternally present where somebody wants to advance in devotional service and are having some kind of doubts or thoughts, or at least will be led to a person who will help us clarify our doubt, right? So in that way, now they've met Valmiki Rishi. Now let's see what happens next. Okay, who else is reading now? Okay, Karpagavali Mataji's hand is up. Yes, go ahead, Mataji.
Mataji,
Rama decided?
Rama decided to stay close to Valmiki's hermitage, and he asked Lakshman to construct a cottage. Lakshman quickly erected a timber walled hut with a thatched roof. Rama lit a fire, and with roots gathered from the nearby and cooked in the fire. He made offerings to the gods. He prayed to the Lokapalas, the principal deities who guard the
Lokapal.
universal. Lokapalas, Lokapalas, the principal deities who guard the universal quarters, asking them to sanctify and protect the and protect the dwelling. Then he entered in it along with Sita. Within that spacious two-roomed hut, Rama constructed an altar for the worship of Vishnu in accord with the instruction of the scriptures. Rejoicing at having found such a delightful place for their residence, the three travelers settled down in peace. Chapter 2, Devastation. Shall I continue, Mataji?
Yes, go ahead.
Devastation in Ayodhya. After Rama and his party had gone into the jungle on the other side of the Ganges, Sumantra and Guha spent some time speaking together about Rama. Both were shocked and saddened to realize his firm intention to spend 14 years in the deep forest. They had both been hoping that he would relent and perhaps return to Ayodhya to punish the evil Kaikeyi, who did not deserve any kindness, or he could at least remain in with Guha and his people where he could be reached easily. Now he was gone. Guha heard from his spices about Rama's meeting with Bharadwaja and is going on from there to the Chitrakuta mountain. Sadly, Nishada King returned to his home home in the city Sringaravira, from where he ruled over the forest tribes. As the reality of Rama's departure sank in, Sumantra drove from the chariot back toward Ayodhya. After 2 days traveling, he arrived to find the city subdued and silent, overpowered by grief. Sumantra entered by the southern gate. As the empty chariot moved along the road, hundreds and thousands of people approached it, crying, "O Rama, have you really gone? Where is that faultless hero? Alas, we are forsaken and lost." Sumantra, afflicted at hearing their laments, covered his head with this garment. With this garment, he felt ashamed to have been the one who took Rama away. He made his
One
way
second,
along.
one second.
Uh, Sumantra, afflicted at hearing their laments, covered his head with this.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, Karpaguli Mataji, please go ahead. Sumantra, afflicted at hearing their laments, covered his head with his garment. From there, please read. Oh, sorry. Okay. Because, yeah. I
Thank you,
got an
Mataji.
important. Sorry about that. Yes,
Thank,
go ahead.
thank you, Mataji. Sumantra, afflicted at hearing their laments, covered his head with his garment. He felt ashamed to have been the one who took Rama away. He made his way along the royal highway to Dasratha's palace, hearing the wails of the women who stood on the balconies of their houses, gazing upon the chariot now bereft of its passengers. Sumantra reached the palace and went quickly through the first 7 gates, arriving at the eighth, which led to the king's inner chambers. He entered the large room and found the king seated in a couch, pale and withered from grief. The charioteer described his journey from Ayodhya with Rama. Dasratha listened in scroll up, mother, in complete silence, and then, having heard of Rama's different entrance into the forest, fell senseless to the floor. Seeing their husband fallen and ladies burst into tears, Kaushalya, assisted by Sumitra, lifted him up and said, "Why do you not reply to the charioteer, my lord? He has carried out a most difficult task on your behalf. Are you feeling ashamed for penetrating such an unseemly act? Being fixed in your determination, O king, for you have firmly adhered to truth. Do not submit to this grief, as we who depend upon you will not be able to survive seeing you filled with such despair." Kaushalya spoke with flattering words. Mahadya's son, whom she had not been able to go without seeing even for a day, was now gone for 14 years. She dropped in a faint next to her husband. All the ladies flocked around, sprinkling cool scented water on the faces of the monarch and his queen, who lay like a god and his consort fallen from heaven. When Dasarada awoke from his swoon, he summoned Sumantra, who stood silently nearby. The charioteer was covered in dust and his face was streaked with tears. With folded hands, he stood respectfully before the king. Dasarada sighed dolefully and said to Sumantra, "Where will Rama live now? Taking shelter under the tree and sleeping on the bare ground. What will he eat? The prince had known no only luxury and deserves the best of everything. Formerly, he would always be followed by my great army. How can he now live alone in the desolate forest?" Although Rama and Lakshman had grown up to become fierce fighters to the emperor, they were still his tender young sons. Dasada could hardly tolerate the thought of their living a life of austerity and abnegation along with the gentle Sita. Anxiously, he imagined the scene facing his two boys. How could they survive in the wild among carnivorous animals and venomous snakes? The king continued, "You do follow them as they walked alone into some bleak and lonely land. What they were their last words. O Sumantra, pray tell me that they uttered as they were leaving. For this shall be my only sustenance for the coming 14 years." Dasratha stood up and looked into his charioteer's face, whose head hung down and who was shaking with sorrow. With a choked voice, Sumantra replied to the king, "The ever truthful Rama asked me to touch yours and Kausalya's feet on his behalf. O great king, he requested me to convey his farewell to all the ladies in the royal courtyard, who are to Rama just like his own mother." After bowing um, at the feet of the king and queen, Sumantra continued to speak with difficulty, describing his parting from Mama and the others. Faithfully, he recounted the exact messages of the two princes had given him. Rama, who was constantly shedding tears as he spoke, asked that Bharata be quickly installed as the prince regent. He left instructions that Bharata should accord all respect to his aged father and to all of his mothers, especially the grief-stricken Kaushalya. The charioteer then
Hare Krishna.
recalled
Thank
the.
you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
good. Yeah. So see, when the truth is not very palatable, right? Sumantra is actually being very smart. Even when Lord Krishna had passed away, right? When Vidura had come to take Dhritarashtra back, when he came to Kurukshetra after his yatra, right? When he had discussions with Maitreya. When he came back, Vidura knew about the disappearance of Krishna. Yet Yudhishthira Maharaj was asking how was everything and everything, but Vidura did not talk about the passing away of Lord Shri Krishna, right? Because he didn't want to be the person who was giving the bad news. Yudhishthira Maharaj, right? Because he knew it will cause a lot of grief to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Like that. Similarly, we see here. Sumantra knew, right, what was actual state. They were all they were in the forest, and they had to sleep on the bare ground. Everything Sumantra knew, because he had actually left them at the foot of the forest, right? But then when Dasharath Maharaj is asking Sumantra, what is he saying? He's not giving a true account of what is happening there, because now he was feeling for Dasharatha's mindset. Kaushalya Mata is there. How will they take this particular situation? So it is not important to always speak the truth, but we should be tactful to not lie also, but at the same time to not cause grief to others. So he's exactly telling what Rama told him, right? He's not giving his own understanding of how they were, because what can one say about somebody living in the forest? They've just approached the forest. There are no comforts. It is going to be a tough life, and reiterating the same thing, he's only going to cause more grief to Dasharath Maharaj and Kaushalya and Kaik and Sumitra, isn't it? So what does he say? He's very intelligent. Sumantra, what is he saying? He just repeated the message that Rama and Lakshmana gave. Of course, Lakshmana's will not be a very soothing message. But what did he do? He spoke the message of Lord Ram. As what did Lord Ram want? He wanted Bharata to be installed as the king of Ayodhya, or the prince regent, and all of his mothers, right, especially Kaushalya, be taken care of very nicely by Bharata. So in this way we see that he is not lying, right, because these were the words spoken by Lord Ram. At the same time, he is not speaking the truth which will cause grief, right? So Lord Krishna also says, right, Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyam hitam chayat swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva vanmaya tapu uchyate. Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita that everybody can speak, right? And it is very important to speak the truth, right? Satyam, Saucham, Daya, Tapa. These are the 4 principles, right, in which only Satyam is remaining. All the other principles have dwindled. They've all fallen down, right? So Satyam, Shaucham, Daya, Tapa. Truthfulness, cleanliness, Daya, compassion, and Tapa. Tapa means austerity. So these 4 things are the 4 legs of Dharma, right? They are the bull's legs that were represented. And when Parikshit Maharaj saw, all the 3 legs were broken down. Only one leg, it was wobbling on one leg. And what is that one leg? That was at the end of Dwapara Yuga, just about the beginning of Kali Yuga, when Lord Krishna had disappeared. It was only standing on little bit of fruitfulness. But nowadays we see, right, people rarely speak the truth. People speak anything and everything what is beneficial for them, for their own sense gratification, right? So here we see that Sumantra, right, because of his association with Dasharath Maharaj, because of his association with Lord Ram, he's got that intelligence to speak what is required to be spoken for the benefit of the people who are hearing. At the same time, it is the truth, it is not falsity. And at the same time, it is also Satyam Priyam Hitam Chayat. Priyam means in a way that is pleasing, right? He is just trying to reduce the grief of Dasharath Maharaj by telling him what Ram told him, rather than give an account of the actual living state of affairs of Lord Ram, right? Of course, the conditions were bad at the forest. They were sleeping on the ground and everything, right? He did not go into that. What did he tell? Satyam Priyam Hitam Chet. He spoke the truth, because these were the words uttered by Lord Ram. Priyam, in a way that will comfort Dasharath Maharaj and Kaushalya Mata and Sumitra Mata. And Satyam Priyam Hitam Chayat, and what is beneficial for them, because this was Lord Ram's instructions for the benefit of Ayodhya Vasis, for the benefit of Dasharath Maharaj, for the benefit of Sumitra, for the benefit of Bharat Maharaj, for the benefit of Shatrughan, all of them, right? Because if the king is ruled, if the kingdom is ruled by a proper king, then only their physical, their mental, their emotional, their social, as well as their spiritual needs will be taken care of by the king. And that is the role of the king, right? Trayate iti Kshatriya, right? That means to protect the citizens. Jalaja Navalakshan, Stavara Lakshmi, all the 8.4 million species who are existing in the kingdom, they are all the responsibility of the particular king. So we see here that Satyam Priyam Hitam, all the 3 are being taken care of by Sumantra, as he describes what Lord Ram actually told him before he left for the forest, or left deeper into the forest. Okay, Srimati Shamapriya Mataji, please read. Okay, we have another 10 minutes more to go. So let's quickly read. Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams.
Pranams, Mataji.
The charioteer then recalled the final angry words of Lakshmana. When Rama stopped speaking, Lakshmana, hissing like an enraged cobra, said, "For what offense has this virtuous prince been exiled? The king has carried away Kaikeyi's order without considering its merit. Regardless of his reasoning, I find no justification whatsoever for the emperor's decision to send away the sinless Ram. Rama's exile will end in remorse. It contradicts all good sense and is against tradition and even scriptures. Having performed an act which has caused nothing but pain to all the people, how can father remain as a king any longer? Indeed, I cannot even see in him the qualities of a father. For me, Rama alone is my brother, master, and father." Sumantra, having summoned up the vehemence with which Lakshmana had spoken, calmed himself down and described his last sight of Sita. The blessed princess Sita stood silent as I prepared to leave, as though her mind was possessed by an evil spirit. She remained motionless and distracted, um, having deep sighs, gazing upon her husband's face. She suddenly burst into tears, covering her own face with her two bejeweled hands, which looked like two white lotuses. When three of them stood watching as I drove the chariot away, Shraddha asked Sumantra to describe his return journey, and the charioteer replied, "I remained with Guha for 3 days, hoping and praying that Rama would return. Finally, I concluded that I would not see him again until the full 14 years has expired. I yoked up the chariot and urged the horses to move, but they remained stationary, shedding tears of grief. After much cajoling, they finally moved, and I proceeded on the path back to Ayodhya." Mantra stopped speaking for some time as he struggled to control his feelings. After sipping a little water, he continued describing the scene he had witnessed on his return. On all sides in the kingdom, he saw signs of grief and separation from Rama. When the trees with their flowers and leaves looked withered, the lakes and rivers were dried up, and everywhere there were beasts and birds and entirely immobile, not even searching for food. The woods were silent and gave off none of their former fragrance. The parks and gardens in the city appeared desolate and deserted. No one greeted him as he entered Ayodhya. Everywhere were sighing men and women lost in thoughts of Rama. As they saw the empty chariots, they let out tremendous cries of grief. Even when the animals wore wretched expressions.
On tops
On
of
the
the high
tops of
building.
high buildings, he saw noble ladies gazing mutely at each other, their eyes overflooded with tears. The city appeared devoid of all happiness, looking exactly like the Empress Kaushalya, bereft of her beloved son. After Sumantra stopped speaking, Dasratha became pensive, feeling extreme regret. How had he stood by as Rama had left? Why did he not reprimand the wicked Kaikeyi? He cursed his foolish attachment to the virtue that brought about such an unvirtuous end. Where was the truth in banishing the truthful Prince Rama? In a piteous voice, the king explained, "It was out of infatuation for my wife alone that I exiled Rama. I did not seek any counsel with my ministers and wise advisors, being dictated to my to by, being dictated to by the sinful Kaikeyi." Nakshatra wondered how he could have acted so contrary to his own good sense and wisdom. Surely this great calamity had suddenly happened by the will of the providence simply to destroy his race. The king sighed, feeling helpless in the hands of fate. Turning to Sumantra, Dashrata said, "O charioteer, if I have ever and good done you any good, turn and then please quickly take me to Rama. My mind is drawn irresistibly to the prince. I am still the king today, then let anyone fetch Rama back to Ayodhya. I shall not survive for even an hour longer without Rama. Where is that Rama, whose shining face is adorned with pearl-like teeth? Maybe that mighty armed prince has gone far into the woods by now. Bring me a chariot, and I shall immediately make haste to see him. If I do not soon catch the sight of Rama, I shall reach death's abode this very day." Nishrata had been hoping beyond hope that Sumantra might somehow have returned with his son. Realizing the finality of Rama's departure, the king gave full vent to his terrible grief. "O Rama, O Lakshmana, O Sita, what could be more painful for me than not seeing you here? You do not know that I am dying from agony like a lost and a forlorn creature." The emperor fell
Hare
senseless.
Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna, sure.
Sudha Mataji, go ahead. Thank you. Yes. Sudha Mataji, please go ahead. Hare Krishna. Please unmute yourself. Yes.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
O Rama Mataji.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. O Rama, O Lakshman, O Sita, what could be more painful for me than not seeing you here? You do not know that I am dying from agony like a lost and forlorn creature. The emperor fell senseless onto a couch. Close to him, Kaushalya tossed about on the floor as though possessed by a spirit. Seeing, seeing Sumantra, she exclaimed, Charioteer, yoke up the chariot and take me to Rama, for I shall not live another moment without him. Where now is my son reposing, his head placed upon his mighty arm? When again will I see his charming features surrounded by curling black locks? I think my heart is as hard as a diamond. Otherwise, why does it not shatter to pieces, even though I do not see Rama? Sumantra fell all the more agonized himself as he saw the grief of the king and queen. He tried to comfort Kaushalya. I think your son will settle happily in the forest along with Lakshman and Sita. Indeed, I did not detect in them any dejection at the prospect of living as ascetics. Shaking off their grief, they appeared pleased upon approaching the forest. Sita seemed especially happy, much delighted at the sights and sounds of the woods. Kaushalya, not appeased by Sumantra's kind words, turned towards Dasharatha, admonishing him out of grief and love. My lord, you are famous in all the three worlds for your compassion and kindness, yet you thoughtlessly banished your faultless son. How will your two gentle boys, ever accustomed to every luxury, live like hermits? How will the frail Sita, a child of a mere 16 years, survive the rages of forest life? She has always been offered the very best of cooked foods and will surely not survive on wild roots. How will she bear the terrible roars of lions and tigers?
Hare
Kaushalya
Krishna.
became increasingly. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Rajneesh Prabhu, please go ahead. You can read 2 paragraphs and then we'll end. Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat.
From where Mataji?
Kaushalya became increasingly angry as
Kaushalya became increasingly angry as she spoke. Her eyes reddened, and black streaks of collyrium ran down her cheeks. She censured Dashratha for his cruelty. You have utterly divested Rama of his right to be king, she cried. Even after
returning to Ayodhya. Hari Bol. Even after returning to Ayodhya, Rama will surely not accept the kingdom. High class men, are you there, Prabhu? Okay, you're not audible. Okay, let me continue and read it. High class men never, high class men can never enjoy items left by others. Rama will therefore not accept the kingdom left by his younger brother, even as a tiger would not eat the food brought to him by another animal. Kaushalya's mind was absorbed in thoughts of her son, and she raved inconsolably. How could Dashratha have perpetrated such an evil act? Kaushalya railed at the king, holding her head in her hands. Rama has been ruined by his own father, even as a brood of fish are swallowed by their father. I believe, my lord, that you can no longer tell right from wrong. The main support from woman is her husband, the son is the second. Therefore, like Rama, I am also ruined, my husband having lost his good sense, and my son gone away. This whole kingdom has been ruined by you. All you people have been destroyed. Only Kaikeyi and her son are happy. So in this way, we see that when a person become overcome by emotions, right, then a person does not actually know what one is speaking, what one is thinking, right? It was uncontrollable grief for the mother when she actually reheard all of that that are happening to not only her son, even Lakshmana, the son of Sumitra, and also Sita, right? So in this way she gets very angry, which is very natural for a woman, right? Titikshva karunika suhrada sarvadehinam sadhunam sadhubhushanam. What is that? So we see that Sumantra is also exhibiting the qualities of a devotee, right? He is trying to calm down Dasharath Maharaj, Kaushalya, Sumitra, and all of them, right? But it is not easy. How much ever he tried his best, but Kaushalya became stricken by her own emotions, right? By which she was uttering these words to Dasharath Maharaj, right? So in this way, we find that all of them are following dharma, even in times of bad situations, even in times where there is emotional turmoil, right? So that's what Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita. What does he say? Matra sparshasu kaunteya sito ushna sukha dukkada agama paino anitya stam sitikshashva bharata. So one should learn to tolerate the situations of happiness and distress and yet continue to perform one's dharma or one's duty, right? So on that note, that can be a lesson that we can meditate on, that whatever be the situation, whether it be of happiness or distress, we should tolerate both, knowing that both will pass. Nothing is permanent in this world. Whether it is happiness, that also shall pass. If it is distress, that also shall pass. But let me perform my duty for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. And that is the way we grow through these situations, whether of happiness or distress, and attain our purpose, right? We don't want pleasure situations in life, but we want to always work towards our purpose through pleasurable situations and distressful situations, right? Through pleasurable situations, it becomes difficult because we get carried away by the happiness, right? During distressful situations, it enables us to remember the Lord. But we should remember that both the situations will pass. Just like they've come without being asked for, they will also leave without, after they serve their particular tenure for our purification, they will also pass. But then we want to perform our duty, our Swadharma and our Sanatana Dharma in a way that's pleasing to Guru and Gauranga, so that we grow through these situations and yet proceed on our purpose to reawaken our Krishna Prema. Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram Patita Pavan Sita Ram Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram Patita Pavan Sita Ram Jai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jai Baladev Jaya Jai Subhadra Jaya Jaya Sudarshan Jai Bala Gopal Jaya Rukmini Vitthal Jaya Prahlad Narsingha Jaya Lakshmi Narsingha Jaya Radha Giridhari Radhe Radhe Jaya Radhe 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 Shri Radhe Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Gurudev Gurudev Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol सीताराम लक्ष्मण शत्रुघ्न हनुमान जी की जय। ग्रंथराज श्री रामायण की जय। नंदपुरी वैष्णव वृंद की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Hare Krishna. So thank you, Deval Mataji. Deval Mataji has her hand up. So you call out her name. You have to switch on your camera. Yeah. All right. So thank you, Deval Mataji, Karpagoli Mataji, Rajeshwari Mataji, Archana Mataji, and Harjit Mataji, and our dear Namish Prabhu, Shobha Mataji, Anusha Mataji, Amritmai Mataji, Srimati Shamapriya Mataji is there, Madhu Manjari Mataji, Vinakshi Mataji, and Sridhar Prabhu. Rajneesh Prabhu, thank you so much for joining in. Deval Mataji, you have to type out your question to me on the chat. We have a hard stop at 11:58. 12 o'clock is another class that starts. Thank you very much. Vanchakalpatarobhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.